Welcome back to Mindkind Podcasts. This is Dr. Jo North returning to our platform. Mindkind continues to be a reflective space for anyone who wants to stay sane in our demanding world. Our intention is to inspire, motivate and inform people of all ages interested in mental health and well-being. I'll be drawing on 35 years of practice as a psychotherapist, and we'll be looking at research and therapy along the way and talking with other experts in the field so we can draw on their skill. Nothing in this podcast is intended to cause you shock or surprise. If you think a subject is going to cause any triggering to any conditions that you have, please don't listen and just choose another podcast of interest. If you happen to be in a podcast and something in there triggers some kind of anxiety or stress for you, please switch off straight away and contact your mental health professional. If something affects the mind, we'll be talking about it. So let's get on with today's podcast. Hello, Jo here. I am so pleased this week to be doing something slightly different. I'm talking with my friend and associate, Lucy Marvellous, who runs a website called Fresher Bites. And I was so inspired by Lucy. She is a time-related eater. She's taken part in the Zoe research and since that time has written recipe books with delicious, simple recipes to help people cook nutritious food that's very basic and non-processed. You know, she's just an inspiration to me and I want to share that conversation with you. Her book is I'll Have What Lucy's Having, which is just a wonderful title, and we talk about that. And then she's also written a book on air frying and a book on fermenting foods, which is her latest book. And she's very, very enthusiastic about fermented food. Lucy is a really adept time-related eater. She's been doing this a lot longer than I have. And she's got her eating absolutely watertight. She's so confident. It's absolutely good to see that. And I really hope that as we go through our conversation together, she will inspire you as much as she has inspired me. So, and here I am with Lucy from I'll Have What Lucy's Having, which is the most brilliant cookbook. Lovely, lovely stuff. So glad to have you here. What's really interesting about Lucy is that she's really invested in great cooking and great food. She's also a time-related eater. So first question to you, Lucy. First of all, thank you so much for talking with us, because I really got a lot of time and respect for your investment in great food. It's marvellous what you do. But how's your time-related eating going? Because I know our listeners will want to know about that.
Absolutely brilliant, as always. We spend quite a lot of time away, and I've managed to work out a way that I can still eat within a 5 or 6 hour window when we're away. So I've never been a breakfast fan anyway, which makes it easy. But I'll never eat before, say, 1 o'clock. So if we're on holiday with family, we go out for lunch, that's really easy. And then I do find my appetite correction is really powerful. So if I've had a good lunch, I've stopped needing to eat food within 3 or 4 hours. My body just says I've had enough, which was phenomenal, because back in the day, I'd have eaten all day, or at least carried on drinking, but I'll stop drinking even.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So tell us about, that's really interesting, isn't it? Appetite correction. So you find that your body's learned the lessons, or just explain that to us.
Well, absolutely. Apparently, it affects your hormone balance so that the ghrelin, which makes you hungry, is tempered, and the leptin, which tells you you're full, is more active. So your body just gets better and better at reading the signals. So yeah. I'm not that often hungry. I'm quite surprised when I'm hungry, because I eat after 5 most days, and I eat really, really well, because as you've said, I'm obsessed with food. So even when I nearly always am just cooking for myself, because my husband eats very different food. I'll make myself something spectacular pretty much every day, because I sometimes in the day I think, oh, what shall I have tonight? And I actually enjoy the thinking about what I'm going to have almost as much as the making it and the eating it. So I eat really well, but then my leptin is very good at saying you've had enough. However, if I don't eat really well, if I eat, I don't know, croissants, like Christmas Day, I've got some little croissants that are part baked. So pop them in the air fryer, have a couple of croissants for breakfast, just makes me hungry.
Yeah, exactly.
My
Yeah.
normal dinner that I have will have lots of different vegetables. I'll have nuts while I'm cooking, and there'll be lots of lentils, and then I might have a glass of kombucha, I might have a glass of wine as well. But my body will very quickly say, that'll do, that's enough. I
Yeah.
don't crave
Yeah.
croissants and what have you. I'll make myself a chaffle for pudding sometimes. Made one the other day, which I make with either chestnut flour or almond flour, an egg, a bit of bicarb, and maybe a bit of yogurt, or it depends what's in the fridge really, and then make that in the waffle machine. And I could have one of those every day, but I very rarely want one. I always have berries in the fridge, I have yogurt in the fridge, but I'll very often have my big plate of veg and some sort of protein, very often a plant protein these days. It seems that's what my body really wants. So yesterday I had tempeh. If you told me 2 years ago I'd be eating tempeh and saying this is delicious, I'd have thought you'd be mad. But my body seems to love it.
Yeah, I mean, that's just amazing progression. And what I love about what you're saying, well, there's so much. First of all, isn't it interesting how people have different bodies and different time frames? Because there's just like about the time you start eating, yeah, so you start eating around 1. Well, I stop eating at 2, and I don't eat anymore until, I don't eat at night, and I don't eat right round till the next morning. So like the minute you're starting, I'm stopping.
Yeah.
But what I always say to people is this, I don't know what you think, Lucy. I say, get your window right first, because then your body will start to right itself naturally. And it does, doesn't it? And that's what you're talking about. I mean, pay a little bit of attention to actually the food you're putting into yourself, because you will want to do that more and more. But like you, I find I am less and less hungry. So much so that sometimes I think, oh, maybe I should be hungry, maybe I need to find some hunger, but I'm not that hungry. So it's really, really exciting journey. And I also love the way that you quite comfortably, I mean, like my husband eats he does about a 14-10, and he eats 3 times a day, and he eats cakes and buns because he's never had to think about worrying about food and stuff. And so we have very, very different eating frames, and we just work that. People say, oh, I can't do that because my partner eats this way or that way. But of course you can. Of course you can,
Yeah, if you want to, because
if
my
you want
partner,
to.
it was during COVID, I realised that I was cooking 2 normal dinners, but he wasn't eating any of the vegetables. So I was eating 2 times the amount of vegetables. I wasn't particularly bothered about the meat, so I had a little bit of meat. And same with the carbs, I'm not that bothered. So it just evolved to that actually he wants meat and carbs, and I want mostly vegetables. So that's what I cook now. So I cook him what he wants, and I cook me what I want. And he said to me a couple of days ago, I said, what do you want for dinner? He said, what are you having? And I laughed. I said, you don't want what I'm having. And I showed him what I was having. He's like, no, you're right. There's nothing on that plate that I want. We eat really differently, and that's fine.
That's so amazing to hear that. And it's really lovely to have that confirmation. Leptin kind of develops its strength, doesn't it? It kind of shouts louder.
It gets so that, funnily enough, some people have been telling me that they're on the Manjaro injections or the Wegovy injections, and that they feel like almost sick when they've had enough to eat. They can't eat anymore. And I said, well, my body has naturally done that. My body will literally say, do not eat anymore. But I haven't had to have some injections that I'm going to become addicted to. So I'm delighted that my body's done it for me. And I will literally, I'll say to myself, cheese or chocolate, because they're my favourite things. And if my body says neither, then, well, that's it, then I'm done. My leptin's doing its job. I absolutely adore cheese more than chocolate, but I always have cheese and chocolate in the house, and I don't always eat it, which is just fantastic, isn't it? I don't have to say, oh, I can only have this or I can only have that. My body's doing it for me. As long as I've eaten real food. If I came in ravenous and I didn't eat real food, if I went straight for the chocolate, I expect my body would behave differently. But if I eat plenty of vegetables and I really love lentils. It's another thing I didn't think I'd hear myself saying. But I could eat lentils or beans every single day. Butter beans, absolutely love them. And if I get home and I haven't planned anything, I can just get some vegetables out of the bottom of the drawer or even out of the freezer, even like frozen mixed vegetables, put in a tin of butter beans, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
And I don't need to eat chocolate afterwards.
You and I could have a lentil party, couldn't we?
Good. I like the sound of your lentil soup that you have every day. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm completely crazy about lentils, and it's just like if I get to the end of the week and maybe we're away or something, and I haven't had my lentil soup, my body's sort of really saying, "Oh, something's missing." But I think it proves the point that the body has its own mind, and it really, really does, and it will talk louder and louder.
I think the new science is looking like your gut microbiome is calling the shots, and my gut microbiome wants lentils.
Okay, right. On that
Yeah.
subject, gut microbiome and fermenting. So, like,
Oh.
let's say plug. I'll have what Lucy's having because it's such a lovely book. Just tell us about how you arrived at that book and
It's quite funny actually. I've always showboated what I'm eating because I love to experiment. I'm quite wacky about what I eat, and because I'm not trying to placate my husband and give him things he wants, I just make stuff up as I go along. And if it's not delicious, which I must say it usually is, it's no big deal, and I'll tweak it until I'll probably put some chili in it, and then it'll be fine. But so I am in Gin Stevens' community on Circle, and I would put my food in there every day. And people would say, "Oh, I want what you're having." Loads of people say, how did you make that? What's that? What's that? And really, really curious about what I'm eating and how I can eat that way. And I explain to them about the batch cooking, things like pearl barley. I'll batch cook it because it takes about 25 minutes. I'm not going to wait 25 minutes. Oh, I'm very impatient as well. So I'm not going to wait 25 minutes for some pearl barley, but I've got individual portions in the freezer. I've got little 250ml Tupperwares with all sorts of different things in. So I can just take out some pearl barley, some lentils, what I call my weekly pulse, which will be a type of bean or lentil with some nice spices in it. Take that all out and mix it all up. People were saying, we want to know how you do that. Can you let us know how you do all that? I said, well, yeah, of course, I'll write you a little book. I said, but what would I call it? And somebody said straight away, well, we're always saying I'll have what Lucy's having, so let's call it that. And loads of people said, yeah, that's perfect, because I want what Lucy's having and I want what Lucy's having. So that's what it became. I'll have what Lucy's having.
Oh no, it's a great little book, Lucy. It's got so many good recipes in. And what I really like is your knowledge of taste and spices, because I'm not great on taste. I was brought up in a very, very plain household with very, very plain food, and I've never really developed too much palate, so I have to be guided, and I do love that your tastes, don't you? You put lots of delicious spices in those
I was going to
foods.
say I'm just greedy. I'm just like, stick a bit of that in and see what happens. And most things turn out really nicely.
Yeah,
I'm
they
happy
do.
about that. And I get a lot of comments about my little book that, because it's not a very big book, that it's a lot of people's most used cookbook, which I love because it's got lots of easy, quick, practical things in it. I've literally hundreds of cookbooks. I'm on a self-imposed cookbook buying ban because I read them like a novel and then I don't cook from them. There might be one or two recipes that I'll roughly base something on. Whereas my book, even I refer to it really often. It's a really good reference cookbook.
I loved your little seed crackers.
Yeah, they're great.
They are amazing. That was amazing.
And they're so easy.
So easy, even I could do it. And you call it Zoe friendly, which I love. So, it's very microbiome friendly. So you're fermenting workshops that you're doing at the moment, and you've written a book called Easy Fermenting for Beginners. Now you're talking to someone who, like, I wouldn't know where to start. All I have in mind is pickled cabbage, except that I do, like at the moment, I do buy kimchi from Marks and Spencer's, which is quite nice and fermented. Listen, tell us all about fermenting and tell us why it's important. Start off with that biome.
Right, you're 100% my target audience. It started because, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, my sister bought me a 3-litre Kilner jar from Lakeland and said apparently fermenting's all the rage, knowing full well that I would run with the baton because I just love to play with my food. So I made a 3-litre jar of kimchi. It is currently full with kimchi as well at the moment. And I loved it. I'd eaten it at someone's house and thought, oh, actually, that's really nice. And I'd never heard of it before. So then when Zoe was saying fermented food's really good for your gut microbiome, And it turns out from what Zoe is saying that your gut microbiome, there's lots of helpful creatures that we didn't know. I mean, you can call them bacteria, but that makes them sound like baddies, like infection. But they're gut bugs that support us and that help to digest our food. And it turns out that there's a gut-brain axis that they communicate with our brain, that what is in our gut affects our mood, which is just phenomenal. If we eat the right sort of foods to feed our healthy gut bugs, we end up with better mood. And also, there are so many positives from having a healthy gut. It's pretty easy to do. You can buy probiotics, but they're not as effective and they don't have as many strains as if you make your own. So these are probiotics, meaning that they add new bugs to your gut microbes, to your microbiome. So inside your intestines, it turns out that like a massive weight of our body weight is made up of these things that aren't actually us, that we're carrying around. It's like a symbiotic relationship, and they're all inside our super long intestines, and they're doing a job, they're serving a purpose, which is just surreal that we've only just found out, really. Now they're discovering that it serves so many positive benefits. And one of the best ways to improve your gut bugs is to eat fermented foods, according to Zoe, and I trust Zoe. They seem to know what they're doing. So I started with the kimchi, which is actually quite a complex place to start. Then there's a fantastic Facebook group called UK Fermenting Friends, and a woman called Dawn Smith. There's also Paula Chapman in that group. These are people I've never met, but are absolute gurus on the fermenting front. They know everything. And I just started playing around a bit using some of their recipes and discovered very quickly that there's so much information out there. It's so confusing that I want to just really strip it back and give people, just do this and it will work. Because, I mean, there are loads of resources, there are loads of recipes, there are a bazillion YouTube videos, and they're all slightly different, and you end up thinking, well, I'm not going to do it because I'll do it wrong, and I don't know which of these I should be doing, which I shouldn't. But the basics is, the easiest thing is sauerkraut. Get some cabbage, chop it up, weigh it, work out 2%. And there's a little table in my book to help you work it out. Weigh that amount of salt. Mash the salt and the cabbage together so that you break down the cells in the cabbage. It's what we call a self-brining ferment. So that salt will scrunch all in with the cabbage, break down the cells, leave it for a couple of hours, and the juice will start to come out. Cram that in a jar. In 2 or 3 weeks' time, you've got sauerkraut. And it grows its own bugs, because the bugs are already, the healthy bugs are already in that cabbage.
Right. And so what would you serve that with then, Lucy?
Well, I have pineapple kraut, which has got cabbage and pineapple in it. And that I have with just about everything. I also put ginger in that. And I have it like you would have a coleslaw on the side of something.
Oh, wow. What made you put pineapple in?
Dawn Smith of UK Fermenting Friends, it's her recipe. And actually, Vedas do sell one in a tub in Waitrose that is the same sort of idea. It's cabbage, pineapple, turmeric, and I think it's probably got garlic in it. Might be ginger. Mine's got turmeric and ginger in it, which are also really good anti-inflammatories. So it's like absolutely delicious. Or great on like a cheese toastie or something like that. Or have a side of whatever I'm having. Or just out of the jar, to be honest. Absolutely delicious. And turns out it's all really good for you.
It's making me want some. I'm tempted to go and get a 3-litre jar as soon as we finish speaking.
That's probably starting a bit big. I'd start.
Is that starting big?
Go for a 1-litre jar and a
okay, I might do that. So what's in kimchi then? Tell us about how you do that.
Well, I do, being me, a totally stripped back kimchi. It's, the Koreans would be horrified that I'm even calling it kimchi, because it's very basic, and I don't make a paste, and I don't do all the complex things that they do. It's Napa cabbage is the kind of cabbage. It's called Chinese leaf, and if you eat kimchi, you'll recognise the shape of that. And you can buy that in Tesco's and Waitrose. I buy it at Forage Loughborough, really fantastic veg shop we've got in Loughborough. And chop that all up, put in some grated carrots, trying to think what other veg I put in there, bits and bobs of different veg, spring onions. And then there's a pepper, a smoked pepper called gochugaru that is Korean. I buy that online. I used to buy it in the Chinese supermarket, but it's closed. So I buy it online, put some of that in. Again, mix it all up, stuff it in a jar, and that takes a bit longer to ferment. You could eat it on the day. All ferments you could eat on the day, but they improve. So
So is that with salt again? Do you put it in
Yes,
a jar?
I do that one with brine, mostly because when I do it in a workshop, I want to teach people the different ways of fermenting. And what I
Right.
do is chop the cabbage, brine it, and leave that in brine for a couple of hours up to overnight. I've been doing a roadshow. I've been traveling the country teaching people to make ferments. So if I'm going to be leaving early in the morning, I get it all ready the night before, put it in the brine, and then travel with it in the brine.
Right.
And
What do
then
you carry? What, you carry it in a jar or something? Or
a great big plastic bucket.
oh,
Whilst,
amazing.
whilst
Amazing.
plastic isn't great for ferments, there's
Oh.
no other real way of transporting stuff. Because I drove
Oh.
down to Essex in December, I'm going to York in May. So
So
big,
you've got these fermenting gigs going on. That's
yeah,
amazing.
I
Wow.
know. I don't know where it came from.
Oh, well, I just think it's such a great idea and it's so healthy for people. So just tell us, the book is called Easy Fermenting for Beginners.
Yeah, and the
And
subtitle is How
buy
to Become a Fermentalist.
be- you buy it on Amazon?
You can get it on Amazon, you can get it on eBay, you can get it straight from me at fresherbites.co.uk.
Okay,
Because
lovely.
eBay and Amazon, people do copy things and sell them, unfortunately.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
Quite a lot of my book, I'll have what Lucy's having on eBay that are not me.
really.
Yeah, there's not much you can do about it,
Oh, I'm
unfortunately.
so sorry to hear that.
Well, direct from me at Fresher Bites, it's probably the
Yeah,
most direct, but
yeah, at least.
Amazon or eBay.
Yeah. So that's really brilliant work. What else do you want to tell us about time-related eating and fermenting at the moment? How do you
I'll
think?
tell you about time-related eating. I put a post on Gin Stevens' Circle the other week about how you can go to brunch with your family and not eat. And I've done it again today. We've had a Good Friday brunch. They all had eggs Benedict, which I love, but I didn't have any because my
Mm,
window's closed. And I just knew if I eat eggs Benedict in the morning, I will be tired. And much
yeah.
as I love eggs Benedict, I can make my own when I get home and have it afterwards. So I had a black decaf coffee and a teapot full of hot water, which I keep adding to
Mhm.
my coffee. And when we've been on holiday and we've all gone down for breakfast as a family, I'll do the same. I even just have a teapot full of water because that gives me something to do, and they can all eat and I don't, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
totally doable.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a really important thing because I think the first thing that people think about is how will I develop my life around this eating window? How will I explain to people what I'm doing? And I think you not only got to sort of get over your own barriers, but barriers that you think are going to be in the way socially. And increasingly, I find that I say to people, well, I am a time-related eater. I decreasingly accept dinner dates just because I'm an early eater. The only time I accept some sort of dinner dates is that I don't want to miss out socially and I don't want to miss a party, but I'm not going to ruin my life over this. But generally, I started to identify more strongly with the idea that that was the person I am now. And it's quite surprising how people come with you.
Yeah, I think it took the family quite a long time to realise I still do that. They say, "Oh, you're still doing that fasting thing?" Yeah, I've
Yeah,
been doing it for nearly 9 years. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's not going to change. It works, and for someone who loves food, it's brilliant because I can eat
Amazing.
during my window. I can eat whatever I want.
Yeah,
I do.
yeah.
But
I tend to move away from the word fasting. I just call it sort of just because it
time
makes
related eating, yeah,
yeah,
people
time
get
related.
frightened of it.
But
But yeah,
yeah,
I've been
um,
doing it for years. I'm going to keep doing it. It works for me. It
mm,
fits perfectly for me.
yeah,
Now, one of Mike's daughters was over and she said, what time do you start eating? I was like, wow, fantastic. They've
yeah,
worked out because she wanted
yeah,
to come and eat with us.
yeah,
And so I said, well, I can eat from 2 if you want to do lunch, because I can do
yeah,
that. Or I
yeah,
can eat from 5 if we're going to do dinner. It's
yeah.
flexible and doable, but yeah, they're all fine with it now. And like today, nobody said, oh my God, you're not eating. Like, no,
Mm,
you eat. I
mm,
don't want to. And that's fine.
exactly. And people are curious and they want to know about it. And I've got several friends that now are adopting that style of eating and saying, "Oh, that's good," and they're developing their window, and I love to see that. So one of my little challenges was holidays, and my husband eats anything, and well, we have these lovely holidays with a buffet, and he would do things like he'd have literally he'd want to taste every single pudding that was on offer, and he'd have a little bit of everything. And that was his style of eating. It was okay, but I didn't want to eat that late at night. So we had a little discussion about it, and he realized it was much easier for me to eat in the middle of the day. It's just much easier. And so, bless his soul, he came with me on that. He said, look, we'll have a really lovely sit down lunch together at around 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. And then I could close my window, and we would get him something like, some crackers and cheese for his supper. So in fact, he didn't need to eat less, but he did naturally eat less. And in fact, even though he doesn't need to lose weight, he doesn't need to eat less, it was actually better for him. He actually feels better, and he looks great on that. So it's really interesting. We didn't argue. I didn't force him to change his eating. He just came with me. It was the same with my brother in France. And I said, look, I don't want to be a drag, but I'm not eating dinner at 8 o'clock at night. I'm just not doing that because it makes me so uncomfortable, and they were fine with that. And in the end, we all ended up eating earlier, and they ate earlier, and they weren't unhappy with that. And then when we went home, they said, oh, we're time related eating now too.
Oh,
Yeah,
fantastic.
well, it is fantastic because I know the only fantastic thing about it is it makes people feel better,
Yeah.
and it enhances that connection with yourself and your circadian rhythm, and you sleep better. And more than anything, I think you can cope with life. All of those, I know that you talking about, you've got quite a lot of challenges going on at the moment. You're just knocking it down, you're doing it, you're
Yeah.
fine. And
I think you learn that you can do really hard things.
you do.
Once you learn that you can set a time that you eat and a time that you don't eat, and if you want to eat in a time you're not eating, you just don't, and it gives you a really
Yeah,
good discipline. And
yeah,
the more
really.
you do it, the more you think, hey, I can do this. Challenges present themselves, you think, well, I'm good at this, I can do hard stuff, and off you go.
Can you remember a time when it was a little bit harder for you to deal with hunger? Because I think at first people do feel that hunger. I mean, now you don't. And now, we both have that experience of leptin's sort of a really major part of our resourcing and our hormones in our bodies quite naturally. But there's a time when you just have to manage a bit of hunger.
Yeah, probably the first few months, I
Yeah,
think.
can you remember how you did that?
Yeah, I had a list of things I would do if I was hungry and things I would tell myself if I was hungry.
Okay.
The one I thought about today, because I could have had brunch, is if I eat now, how will I feel in half an hour? This was a Gin Stevens thing.
Mm,
And the chances are I'm going to regret it. So, when I worked in schools, there's always donuts or cakes or whatever in the staff room. And I think,
mm,
if I have that donut now, how am I going
mm,
to feel in half an hour?
mhm,
And I
mhm,
just knew I wasn't going to feel great, that it
mm.
doesn't serve me. So, being able to give my future self that little look back and think, you know what, you feel better if you don't do that.
Mm,
So that one works really well. But also, I'd have jobs to do, like clean out a drawer. If you feel
mm.
like you want to eat, clean out a drawer in 15, 20 minutes. If you still want to eat, eat. But the chances are you don't. If it's
Yeah,
real hunger, it will build, but waves of hunger would go away. So find something to do. And I love cleaning out a drawer, it's very satisfying. Or holding the laundry, just give myself a job to do, or set a time, say to myself, right, you can eat at 3. And then when
yeah,
3 comes, I'm probably not hungry anyway.
yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's what you say to yourself. You found that. And I think one of the things Jen Stevens says and her community say hunger's not an emergency.
So,
If you're eating in a time-related eating way, you're probably eating well. And when you get hungry, it's not because you're going to die of hunger.
yeah.
That's the very last thing that's going to happen
Unless you're really underweight, there's a good
unless you're
chance your
underweight.
body's got something to go at. So if you feel hungry, and that's another thing I used to say is, right, go off and find some fat to chew, because my body's got fat stores. And I think in the early
Yeah.
days, your body's less good at flipping what they call the metabolic switch, that you're so used to giving yourself food that your body says, I need food, I need food, I need food, but it needs fuel. And it will learn, if you don't feed it, it'll go and find some fuel from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Have a go
Yeah.
at the belly fat here, have a go at these bingo wings, and off
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I still try to tell myself that stuff sometimes, Lucy. I know you've been in time related eating for a long time, but so my brain will still have a go.
Mm,
It will still sort of spin me a yarn. And it's never true. One of the things I've started to do, I mean, because I really don't feel good now if I eat in the evenings. It just does not sit well with me. One of the things I do, and my husband eats about 6 o'clock, and there's no reason for that to be disrupted at all. I usually do a piece of work. I'll book in a piece of client work, which is I'm usually delighted to do. And then I sit with David and I have some water or some black coffee, and we watch some telly. And one of my little pieces with hunger is often at 10 o'clock, my tummy will say, I'm hungry. And it's just like, and I really have got hold of that one. It's just like, no, you're not. You're actually tired. You are going to bed. And
Yeah.
I can have a sip of water. It's very, very rare that I will let that take over. I think the only time I will is this year I had flu and I literally had not eaten for days. And I did let myself eat then. But now that my natural rhythm's kicked in again, it's just like, no, you're not hungry. You
Yeah.
can have a sip of water and you can go to sleep. That's all that's going on here.
My thing will be if I'm bored. Sometimes in the day, if
Yeah,
I'm bored, I'll
yeah,
suddenly think, I'm really hungry. I think it's really unlikely that you're hungry. Give it 15 minutes and see if
yeah,
you're hungry. And I'm never. And also have a drink of water. Quite often I'm
yeah,
thirsty and I think I'm
yeah.
hungry and I drink some water, think, oh no, actually I'm not hungry.
Well, exactly. And I think that dehydration is something that can make us feel very uncomfortable. In the mornings, I wake up and have a coffee, and then I literally sit with a pint of warm water because I really need to rehydrate myself, really well.
I drink a lot of warm water. I like it. Well,
Yeah.
Stevens calls it MT, doesn't she? Yeah,
Empty. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I really like it.
So it's totally brilliant to talk to you, Lucy. What if I wanted a fermenting course? How should I do that? I mean, I can think of loads of people that would love that here.
Well, what people have been doing is messaging me and saying, would you come to? And I've been to Essex. That was 2.5 hours drive. So yeah, I'll come to yours. If you can get 8 to 10 people together and you've got a space, it just can be somebody's kitchen because we don't even need anything much. We're just going to be bashing and smashing into jars. We don't need a cooker or anything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, just get in touch with me, lucy@fresherbites.co.uk, and I can probably come to you.
Oh, that's brilliant. Absolutely. So I'm going to contact you to get a course going here in Devon.
Might have to
You
stay
know,
for a few days.
you can stay for a few days. You can go to the seaside, can't you? And you can do
Yeah,
all sorts of things. That's a good idea. Maybe that's a good idea. We can talk.
yeah.
We could talk a lot. Lucy, I'm really inspired to talk to you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for all the amazing work you're doing. And let's talk again soon, shall we?
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, good.
If there are any new Food Sane members listening, I just want to say a big welcome to the Food Sane community. If the idea of eating windows, time-related eating and the raft are all new to you, there is a handy quick start guide that will take you through the essentials of time-related eating and what it means to be on the raft. Just log in to your members area and the quick start guide is at the top there. It's only £10 a month to be a member of this community. Members also have access to the Food Sane training, my daily diary, free chapters of the Food Sane book, a handy eating window tracker to track your daily eating window and compare that with your mood, the option to send me your questions, a monthly meeting with me online and other community members, and a space where we can chat, share and support each other. If you're not yet a member, you can still find a lot of information on the website, foodsane.co.uk. You can subscribe to my mailing list for free to get the regular newsletters. And of course, my podcasts are out there too. And you will find lots of information about time-related eating in the podcasts. Thank you for listening. Check out the next episode on our platform.
Don't forget, I'm a doctor of psychotherapy, not medicine or clinical psychology. My expertise lies in the field of applied psychology through psychotherapeutic models of practice. This podcast is not intended for diagnosis or treatment of any kind. If you are concerned about your mental health, do consult your doctor, who will guide you. If you are ever in a mental health crisis within the UK, dial 999. In all other parts of the world, check your mental health facilities or turn to someone who will support you.